In this episode, I'm reviewing Season 4, American Horror Story Freak Show. Now, Season 4 of American Horror Story Freak Show premiered October 8th, 2014, and the season finale of Season 4 ended January 21st, 2015. Now, this season is set in 1952 Jupiter, Florida, and tells the story of the last remaining freak show in the world as how they try and, keep their act going. It's basically a freak show of circuses, and we do see Jessica Lange return in the fourth season, but she's not in it for very long, because it was said that she's leaving after the fourth season, so it was her, going out and her calling and her, curtain call, so to speak. There are a lot of interesting things that are happening in this season, and I want to say too much is happening. This is not one of my favorite seasons of American Horror Story. I didn't like it at all. I felt like it was dragged on, and they did get real actors to play these roles, the deformities that you see in this season, and it's really interesting because they found these people, actors and actresses, and some you might see from other documentaries that you've seen on certain shows about their life, but it was really interesting to see that they did that. Now, Evan Peters is the crab man, or the claw man, you want to say, and that's a true story about someone who actually did have that deformity. Now, basically, Freak Show was playing an homage to the 1932 movie Freaks, and if you've never seen that movie, I warn you with caution, because to me, it's one of the most creepiest and scariest and freaky movies that you've ever seen, and I feel like that's what Ryan Murphy did, and he went back to that movie and he picked out certain characters from that movie and put them on this show and then this season, and you rightfully can see the resemblances of who plays what and where. But if you've never seen Freaks, oh my god, let me just say that it's one to understand and watch. It's a creepy movie, especially for the time it came out in 1932. I'll just leave it at that, and hey. But let's get back to Freak Show. I want to say Freak Show was interesting. I didn't like the musical melodies that they had with Evan Peters and Jessica Lange. It was different. People liked it, but a lot of people loved this season of American Horror Story because they said that it was better than Coven. And even FX Network, this was the most watched original program, and as it beat out Coven the year prior. So it's good to see that, it's breaking certain records and barriers. But American Horror Story Freak Show for me just didn't do it in a way where I found the stories dragging on, and nothing actually really worked in certain ways. But as they did work, I feel like the characters in itself, you felt like, you wanted more from them. There was an emotional aspect to the whole season as well, where you're trying to understand that these characters are trying to fit into a normal world, but they are just seen as freaks in the 1950s. And setting it in 1952, at the heyday of, deformity and people understanding what's happening with the world and not understanding how normal people are, it was good because it showed that there are prejudices and racism toward deformity and to deformed people. So they really picked up on that, and Ryan Murphy actually did a good job with doing that as well. Other than that, the only thing that stood out to me was Jessica Lange, and other than that, the whole show was just not my cup of tea. Probably because I'm not a fan of circuses or freak shows, or like that 1932 movie Freaks. I don't know what it is. It's just interesting, but it's different. And there are a lot of connections to previous American Horror Story seasons with Freak Show. And if you don't, then, hey, pay attention to all these connections, because Ryan Murphy did state that all the seasons are connected in some way and some form. So for me, American Horror Story Freak Show gets 2 out of 5 stars. I liked the story, and I liked the acting by Jessica Lange, and that was it. Other than that, I felt like it was dragged on, and it could have ended much sooner than it did. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this season of American Horror Story Season 4, Freak Show. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And what did you think of it? And where would you rank it on your rankings of the seasons of the American Horror Story series? I'm Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.